I'm looking for advice. Maybe. My problem is the children. Not my husband, not my mother-in-law, the children. My children are difficult, in their teens. The eldest wants to stop studying and stay in 10th grade. Every year he gets a punishment, mainly because of absences. He says that school is a waste of time. The youngest is going his own way. 7th grade, 2nd and 3rd grades, and zero interest in ambition. Both my husband and I are educated, with a master's degree, reading people who study all their lives. But we are not rich. The children want money. It's like they are not ours. We just argue and fight. I can't reconcile. I visited psychologists several times and didn't find help. Maybe I should work on myself, accept them as they are, but I can't. I am one of those devoted mothers who live for their children and give everything for them. And they don't want me. I annoy them. They can't stand me. I don't know where things went wrong. We haven't oversatisfied them. On the contrary, we limit them. They don't have much, but they have enough for food, clothes, basic necessities. Enough in our opinion, but not for them. They never have enough. I want to run away. I can't stand not being able to find a common language, hating me and being so ungrateful. What moves do I have to keep from going completely crazy? I feel like crying all the time.
First off, let's just take a moment and acknowledge the sheer weight of those words. To be a parent in this situation, feeling like your teens are rejecting everything you value, well, that's just an enormous emotional burden. The feelings in that post are raw, they're incredibly painful, and you know what? They are completely and totally understandable. All right, let's break this down. The first and maybe the most critical thing to get is that what this parent is going through has a name. It's called parental burnout. And it's very, very real. This is not a personal failing, it's a natural human response to being under chronic, overwhelming stress. And look at this. These reactions map perfectly onto that post we just read. That feeling of always being on the verge of tears, the bone-deep exhaustion, that sense of a complete desperation, and yeah, that very real, powerful urge to just run away. These are not signs of weakness. Think of them like warning lights on a car's dashboard. They are signals from your nervous system screaming that you are overloaded. So this is the thought we have to lock onto. We have got to dismantle the self-blame. It is so easy to fall into that trap, to believe these feelings mean you're a bad parent. But the truth is, they mean you're a human being who has been pushed way past your limits. And trust me, it's an experience shared by so many parents in similar situations. You are not alone in this. So where do we go from here? Well, this is where we make a really crucial pivot. Our instinct, almost always, is to ask, how do I fix my children? But the most effective first move, it's actually to ask a different question. How do I preserve myself? And this really gets to the heart of it. It's just like the safety instructions on an airplane, right? You have to put on your own oxygen mask before you can help anyone else. It's not selfish, it's essential. Because your emotional stability is the very foundation that any kind of family healing has to be built on. So what does this actually look like in real life? It starts small. We're not talking about grand, life-altering gestures. A mini pause could be just 5 minutes on a walk by yourself. It could be putting on headphones and listening to one full song without interruption. A support system might be one trusted friend or a therapist, someone to remind you you're not in this alone. And acknowledging your limits, that's just giving yourself permission to not have to solve everything all at once. Okay, so once you start to refill your own energy tank, the next step is to figure out how to stop it from being drained so fast. And this brings us to a huge and often misunderstood idea, especially for parents: boundaries. Now, this slide is so important because we often get these two things confused. Punishment is reactive. It happens after a rule is broken, usually out of frustration. Boundaries, on the other hand, are proactive. They're the clear, calm framework you set up ahead of time that teaches respect. And here's the secret. Even though they'll push against them, boundaries provide a sense of security and predictability that teens actually crave. To make this work, you have to be strategic. You can't fight every battle. That's just a recipe for more burnout. So choose 2 or 3 core, non-negotiable rules for your home. The absolute key is consistency. And look at this example. I can't discuss this until we can speak respectfully. See how that's not a threat? It's just a calm statement of what you require. It puts the responsibility right back on them to change their approach if they want to engage. Setting boundaries creates a little bit of breathing room. It creates space. But then the question is, what do you do with that space? Because if every single interaction you have is about school, chores, or bad behavior, the relationship itself just starts to starve. The goal here is to try and shift the entire dynamic, to move from a mode of command and control to one of simple curiosity and connection. Try asking about a video game they're into or a show they're watching. And then comes the hard part. Just listen. The goal in these moments isn't to get them to obey. It's to remind both of you that there's a person there, beyond the difficult teen or the nagging parent. So as we move into our final section, let's pull all these ideas together. Let's talk about the mindset that's needed for the long haul. Because let's be real, this is not a quick fix. This is a whole new way of navigating a really difficult season of life. This concept right here is so profound and liberating for parents. Your love for your child is unconditional. Full stop. But your acceptance of their behavior, that can and should have conditions. Holding a firm line against disrespect doesn't mean you love them any less. In fact, teaching them how to interact with the world respectfully is one of the greatest acts of love there is. You know, when you're deep in a crisis, looking at a huge goal like a diploma can feel absolutely impossible. It's demoralizing. So you have to shift your focus. Look for the small daily wins. Did they have a 5-minute conversation with you without yelling? Did they get out of bed on time? You have to acknowledge those small steps. They're the building blocks you use to create momentum. Remember how the parent in the post mentioned trying psychologists without success? It's worth considering that sometimes, when the problem is in the whole family system, individual therapy isn't the answer. A family therapist works with everyone together to help untangle those messy communication patterns. A neutral third party can see things and say things that people inside the family just can't. So if you take only one single thing away from all of this, let it be this. Everything we've talked about, the breaks, the boundaries, the connection, it all starts with giving yourself permission to matter. Preserving yourself isn't selfish, it is the first and most vital step toward helping your children. And really, that brings us to the end. This isn't about overhauling your entire life by tomorrow. The journey back from burnout always begins with a single, small step. So the real question is, what will yours be?